for the Happy Days Lillie lunch bag. It has a cinch top and will easily hold sandwiches, fruit and a drink, etc. This is how you make it. And this is what you'll need. Fabric for the lining, fabric for the outer, fabric for the cinch, fabric for the handles and some ribbon. Starting with the lining fabric, place them right sides together. Ensure that all the side seams match up in the bottom and clip all the way around, but leave a gap there for turning. Once they're all clipped, we take it to the sewing machine and start in there, start there and stop, start there and stop, start there and stop, start there and stop. We're not sewing around the box corners yet. To do this, use 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now I've sewn all the way around, I'm going to box the corners, and to box the corners, line up the bottom seam and the side seam and line up the edges and then clip into place. Once you've clipped, I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and I'm going to start there and using 1/4 inch seam allowance, sew all along there and stop. I've sewn across and now I'm going to repeat for the other side. Now that's both box corners finished off. Leave it this way around and put it to one side for later. Now we're working on the outer of the bag. As you can see, I've already put the interfacing on the reverse. I've clipped all the way around and now I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and I'm going to start there and using 1/4 inch seam allowance, sew along there and stop, start there and stop, start there and stop. Again, ignoring the cut out parts where the box corners go. Once you've sewn all the way around, we're going to box the corner as we did in the lining. So take your two sides, line up your seams and clip into place. I've clipped the box corner and now I'm going to take it to the machine and I'm going to start there and I'm going to sew all the way along there using 1/4 inch seam allowance. Once you've done the box corners for both sides of the main outer bag, turn it the right way and put it to one side for later. Now we're going to make the handles. Take one piece of your handle fabric and fold in half and press along the crease. Then open out and take that side to the crease you've just made and that side to the crease you've just made and then fold in half and press. Now take it to your sewing machine and top stitch along there and along there. I've top stitched along the two long sides and now I'm going to repeat for the other handle. And that's the two handles completed and we'll put those to one side for later. Now we're going to make the cinch cover. Place your two cinch fabrics right sides together, line up all the sides and the bottom and then make a mark there 6 centimetres from there to there and do the same for the other side. Now take it to the machine and using 1/4 inch seam allowance, start at the mark you've made and sew all along there to the bottom and then start there on the other side and sew all along there. We're leaving the bottom and the top open. I've clipped the two fabrics together and I'm going to start there where the mark is, and I'm going to sew to the bottom using 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to repeat for this side and starting at that mark, sew right to the bottom again using 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're not sewing along the top or the bottom. I've turned over the top edge by 2 centimetres, and then I've turned in the corner to form a triangle, and this will hide the raw edges when we thread the ribbon through. Repeat this for the other side. Once you've done both sides, fold over, and this will form the channel for the ribbon. Pin into place and then repeat for the other side. Once you've pinned into place, take it over to your machine and sew as close as you can to that bottom edge, all the way along there, and then repeat for the other side, and this will form the channel for the ribbon. Once you've sewn all the way around, put your cinch cover to one side. We are now ready to join everything together. Place the lining piece you made earlier inside the outer bag and match up the side seams and clip into place. Now take your handles and attach them 7 centimetres from the side seam, clip into place. Then take it to the machine and sew all around the top using 1/4 inch seam allowance. Once we've attached the lining and the handles, it's time to put the cinch on. Place the cinch cover over the outer of the bag, right sides together. Line up the side seams and the top edges, and the raw edges will now be together, and the channeling for the ribbon will be at the bottom of the cinch cover. Clip into place. Now take it to the sewing machine and sew around the top of the bag. Once you've joined the cinch all the way around, pull it over and then tuck it back inside your bag, and then match up the top seams all the way around and clip into place. I formed a nice edge and clipped all the way around and kept the handles clear. Now I'm going to sew all the way around using 1/2 inch seam allowance. And now attach your ribbon to the end of a safety pin and thread through the channeling that you've made. I threaded both ribbons and tied a knot in both ends, and that's your Lillie lunch bag all finished.